If Honkai didn't have gods that wanted to destroy the universe, you'd think the big bad of the game might be a company called the Interastral Peace Corporation. But no, these guys are surely the good guys. Probably. In any case, today we're going to be talking about the Interastral Peace Corporation, the Aeon they follow, as well as other organizations that they support. The corporation itself plays a major role in the setting, so I thought it'd be nice to talk about. So let's get started. The Interastral Peace Corporation, also known as the IPC, is one of the oldest and most powerful organizations in the universe of Honkai Star Rail. It was founded 770 Amber Eras ago, which is their own calendar. As you can imagine, the IPC has been around for such a long time. However, they didn't exactly start off as a huge corporation. In fact, it started off as a small band of zealots who worship Qlipoth, the Aeon of Preservation. Now, Qlipoth is a tenacious Aeon. His path of preservation causes him to build this gigantic cosmic wall that separates the living worlds against a cosmic threat of unknown proportions. Some say it's Nanook, the destruction, some say it's the finality, some say it's Ouroboros, but it's not known for sure as of yet. So yeah, he is building an actual wall in space, like a literal wall. But who's funding this wall? Well, as mentioned, Qlipoth had a group of zealot followers only known as the support team, whose purpose was to gather construction materials for the Aeon. But gathering materials for a giant cosmic wall was no easy task, so the support team had to get creative. They decided to travel to different worlds to gather more supplies for their Amber Lord. Unfortunately, they only had construction materials to trade, and they were looking for more construction materials. So they couldn't exactly trade construction materials for construction materials, so business wasn't exactly going well. It was only when one of the members of the support team, Lewis Fleming, started trading for other materials such as fruit. He traded it for a marked up price, giving them some profit, realizing that they could go planet to planet importing and exporting goods for a higher price. Thus, Lewis Fleming and one other member, named Dongfang Qixing, thought of a plan to create the only trade business in the galaxy, as well as set the rules for everything universal-wide. It took 30 Amber Eras for them to gather the necessary support and capital, but eventually they announced the reformation of the support team and started the Interastral Peace Corporation, with Lewis Fleming and Dongfang Qixing as the founders. At the same time, they introduced the universal galactic currency, credits, and they assigned prices for the specialties of every planet. Local planets around the Aeon of Preservation started using credits, and the IPC spread through the galaxy, offering trade goods and creating a corporation of near endless wealth. The IPC today governs most of the connected universe. Their name, logo, and merchandise has become ubiquitous with many astral citizens. Almost all business transactions in the universe are based on the credit system of the IPC, which gives them absolute dominance over the wealth of the known universe. However, despite the massive size of their corporation and the near infinite wealth they wield, they have not forgotten the very mission and goal of their expansion. Never once have they neglected their offering of materials to their lord, and the sole purpose of maintaining their corporation is to give everything to the Amber Lord. Also, Qlipoth actually has a position within the company as chairman of the board, which is a little funny as Qlipoth doesn't really give any attention to the IPC so long as they give him materials, and he's like the size of the galaxy. Now, despite the IPC being fanatics of Qlipoth, to the point of even having a whole department of fanaticism to do, I don't know, Aeon knows what, they don't shun other people for worshipping other Aeons. The IPC even funds many other organizations who would do good for humanity. One such organization is the Intelligentia Guild. The guild follows the path of erudition and reveres new. It's sort of like the Genius Society, but for the ones who couldn't get into the Genius Society. But the guild is much more open than that. The guild is willing to accept all beings and even has programs and institutions dedicated to teaching. They provide anyone willing to follow the path of erudition all that they need in the pursuit of the unknown. So their philosophy is a bit different than that of the Genius Society, for they believe that all knowledge must be circulated like currency, and therefore they engage in the trade of knowledge with one another, allowing all of its members to benefit from each other's intellect. Also, if you've watched my previous video about the Genius Society, then you know that New requires them to know that the answer to the universe is beyond the limits of mortal wisdom. The Guild interprets this in a different way, stating that the only way to transcend the limitations of the individual is to have an academic network of mutual learning. So while the geniuses tend to work by themselves, the Guild works together to answer the questions of the unknown. This gives the Guild a more selfless outlook on knowledge, which makes them strive to help more of humanity to further increase their network of minds. The IPC agrees with this philosophy of theirs and heavily backs the Guild with sponsorships, allowing them to stride amongst the stars to collect knowledge as a commodity. They then allow the IPC to purchase their inventions and creations to help further humanity and the corporation's interests. It is thanks to the Guild, after all, that ultra long-range communications exists for the whole of humanity, as they were able to recreate the work of Elias Salas during his time with the IPC. They even mass-produced synesthesia beacons, which allow the universal translation of languages throughout the universe. And recently, the Guild works closely with the IPC to develop technologies to contain Stellaron corrosion, having experimented across 113 galaxies to positive results. Finally, the Guild is made up of different schools that communicate and trade knowledge with each other, but each school is responsible for their own earnings and expenses. They also have their own field of study. The schools that exist are the Synesthesia School, the Astral Ecology School, the Candelagraphos, the Armed Archaeologists, and the Quantum History School. Recently, the IPC also started working with Madame Herta of the Genius Society in order to help protect the universe from the growing threat of the Stellarons, the Antimatter Legion, and Nanook the Destruction. Lastly, there is one more organization we know of that the IPC is backing, and that is the Architects. Although the Architects are much less of an astral organization and instead are more of a planetary one, meaning each planet that serves the Aeon of Preservation has a group of architects who more or less lead the planet's defense against the calamities that the Preservation is protecting against, like the Antimatter Legion, the Fragmentum, and the other things we see in Belobog. Their entire shtick is to create walls to protect their own planet or city or whatever is left of where they live. We saw this in Belobog, as it is one of the planets that follow the Preservation. The IPC backs the Architects whenever they can. And in Belobog, we helped an IPC ad agent report to their bosses about the current well-being of the planet. But we have yet to see if the IPC will assist Belobog or not. While the IPC has a monopoly on certain things and some aspects of the corporation are pretty shady, like when we meet some IPC vendors in the simulated universe, they sell us some shitty products, one thing is for sure. The IPC is the largest organization that stands in the way of beings like Nanook the Destruction or Ouroboros the Veracity. The path of preservation is one that denies the destruction of planets and its people, and it wholeheartedly seeks the peaceful coexistence and prosperity of all residents in the galaxy. Thus, the Interastral Peace Corporation would be a path that stands against the darkness, at least in the macro scale. Also, you guys see something weird with Qlipoth? He's a god figure of fanatical zealots. He's building a wall to keep evil out, while other planets are paying for that wall. Seems kind of familiar. But that's it for me. What do you guys think of this corporation? A bit too good to be true? I mean, if wealth is involved, then it can't be all good, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you like this content, please do hit that like button and consider subscribing. And see you all in the next one.